charts. But let's stick sort of with this topic, Charles, and a Royal Marine.
Yeah, very much with this topic. Yes, a serving Royal Marine has found himself at the centre of a highly politicised censorship attack. And this is for questioning the lowering of the standards within 3 Commando Brigade. Here he is describing what he did.
I made a survey about a particular issue that Marines are concerned about. That particular issue is that we believe that we have the high standards that we keep, and the high standards that we keep for a very important reason, which is to prevent Marines from being killed in dangerous situations when we go to war. And we've been told we will go to war very soon. We are concerned that those high standards are being dropped, and selectively dropped for political reasons, with the bespoke intention of forcing women through Royal Marines training for a political victory lap.
Now, we'll come to the issue at hand, but I think it should be noted as very significant that he believes that he will be going to war very soon. There'll be a link to the full half-hour interview in the show notes, and it's very compelling listening. Anyway, within 24 hours of what he describes, his survey was taken down with nearly 1,000 signatures on it. There's probably 5,500 or so in 3 Commando Brigade, and it was being described as Russian disinformation. Now, there's no doubt about the push for women in the Royal Marines. And this is an image from their own website. The BBC, of course, are taking this up. And so far, just one woman has passed the shorter all-arms commando course. This one, Lily Mae Fisher, she is not, therefore, having passed the all-arms commando course, she's not a Royal Marine. But as made clear from her Instagram profile, she is a PR opportunity. And as far as this story is concerned, the next thing to happen was that this man's regiment was visited by an official from the MOD, explaining that there was not a problem with any of this, that standards weren't being lowered, and that whoever put the survey up was a coward. This went on for some time, things did not go quiet, and it resulted in this young man telling his chain of command that he was responsible for the survey. And somewhat remarkably, he was flown down to London for an interview in Main Building, Ministry of Defence. No time was given to his concerns as he had articulated them, but instead the focus of the interrogation was on his politics, which, as he correctly states, are his affair. A short while later, after returning from some leave, this happened.
So drag me into this room. This is a different instance. So I'm now being dragged in by Police Scotland. I ask them, am I being detained? They say, no, you're not being detained, but we're holding you here under the Terrorism Act. I'm just shaking my head at this instance. And I said, have I committed any acts of terrorism? Am I expected to commit any acts of terrorism? And they said, no. We have you here because you have views. And that was I don't even know if they meant to say that, because that's the truth. I think they're supposed to maybe not say the truth in that instance. But that's what they've clearly been asked to investigate, is my political views, which are none of their business. And as soon as they say that, I just say thought crime. And they're like, what? I'm like, this is thought crime. You're the thought police. This is thought crime. And they're saying, well, there's no illegal, it's not illegal to think things. And I just, well, it clearly is. Because I'm here in a room and I'm being treated like a criminal and my rights are being taken away from me because I have opposing political views to the political establishment.
This was under Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act 2000. That's been a feature of UK column news reporting for much of the last year, a very obvious misapplication of the law in order to provoke fear and to attempt to cling to some kind of control. Now, the wording is opaque enough to justify ensnaring anyone under this piece of legislation. We see here that it's to do with people travelling through the UK's borders who may be involved or concerned in the commission, preparation or instigation of acts of terrorism. And it goes on to say that the examination of an individual is not conditional upon having grounds to suspect that person of being engaged in terrorism, but the decision must not be arbitrary. In other words, those acting under this legislation in the ports have completely free rein, as they can never really be asked to be held to account for their actions. Now, as far as the Royal Marines are concerned, this is a command issue, and this is what the young man had to say about that particular point.
Forward. So to the Marines that are concerned about this, go into work, and the next day you're at work, and stand up for this issue, and pull up your chain of command on this issue and say you don't think it's right for Marines to be treated like this, And for you to feel like you have to lie on this issue and you have to keep your opinion silent, tell them that you believe that. And for the people high up in the chain of command, I ask you to make an environment where people feel like they can speak about these sorts of things, because they don't. And that's not my fault. It's your fault. I have a responsibility to speak about that issue, and that's what I've done. You have a responsibility to take on what I have told you and act upon it.
The last couple of points to make concern the charade of diversity in the armed forces, and it's here that we find the one sentence which undoes all of this nonsense at a stroke. The armed forces is exempt in that it can do what it needs to do without compromise. And if we just look at the biannual diversity statistics, we see here that clause from it saying that they are exempt from the provisions of the Equality Act 2010 because of reasons of combat effectiveness. So for every other organisation in the country, they must compromise. Now, why would that have been accepted by any business at any point? And the crumbling of this particular narrative is now very much evident on the Equality and Human Rights Commission website, with a note here saying that it must be updated due to the Supreme Court judgment on sex and gender, as reported on last week. No doubt more to talk about in Extra.
Okay, let's